growing up in Ghana and why you think Ghana has become such a place of excitement for a lot of people of the diaspora.
Well, growing up in Ghana, um, regular life, I thought, when you were growing up in a certain place, you're just used to that place, right? Until you travel. That's why in Ghana, we say travel and see. So pretty much to me, it was regular until you have something to compare it to, right?
Mm,
So Ghana was fun, carefree. I went to boarding school pretty much a lot of my life. So from 12 to
mm.
19, I was in boarding school. It was an all girls school. So I was used to just goofing around with girls and just discovering who I was in a sense.
Mm,
So but I think that Ghana has become a place for people to come to, one, because we do have a very, very rich history, right? From,
mm,
from the Cape Coast Castle, and I was born in Cape Coast and I went to school in Cape Coast.
mm.
So Cape Coast has always been part of my story.
Right.
And yeah, Cape Coast has been part of my story. And I think that when I was younger and we went to the Cape Coast Castle, I didn't even understand the
Mm.
value of it or even the slave trade. We were like, oh, it's such an opportunity for us to go out of school. So we were excited to just go out of school and just be and to go on this tour.
Right.
Believe you, I mean, when they told us stuff, and I did history, when they told us stuff, it went, we were just so happy. We just wanted to, because in boarding school, we stayed in school the whole time. So it was an
Mm,
opportunity for us to just go out, not realizing what a historic place it was. So I
mm,
think that Ghana is being intentional about having people recognize its rich history. So sometimes you
mm.
have things, you have it all the time, but you take advantage, you not take advantage of it, but you don't understand the value of what you have. You take it for
Right.
granted. Take it for granted was what I was trying to say. Yeah.
Right,
So
for sure.
so being intentional is us not taking it for granted and sharing our rich history with the world.
Right. I love that. All right, so let's go back. You mentioned boarding school. Now, boarding school is not
Yes.
something that most Americans are familiar with and or used to. There are those, and for us in the US, I would dare to say that it's typically the upper echelon, typically wealthier people that are exploring options with boarding school, whether here in the US or sending their children away. But for, I would say, maybe 90% of Americans, that's not even something we would consider. But it seems like in Ghana and a number of most African countries that I'm familiar with, that is the norm. Most people who have the ability to go to school will send their children to boarding school. So talk a little bit about what that experience was like. You're all girls. Do you get to see the boys? Like, because, I feel like American girls, we're chilling and doing things with boys too young, too fast, but that's because they're there. So do you get to see the guys in boarding school? And what was that experience like?
Okay. All right. So boarding school, I happen to go to a all girls boarding school, right?
Mm.
But boarding school, we do have co-ed boarding schools. So their
Oh.
experience will be a little different from mine, right?
Mm.
But in my boarding school, for the most part, it was just us. We got to see the boys on we had visiting days. So it could be, I think when we first started, it was every Saturday and every Sunday, the boys would come and
Mm.
visit. So we had other schools that had boys and the other boarding schools around. So they could come and visit,
Mm.
and your parents could come and visit, friends could come visit. But we had a specific time where boys could come visit. So
Mm.
that was as much of an interaction as we had with the boys. And when the boys came to visit, the girls were so excited. It was like, okay, this is yes, because it was like,
The boys.
and sometimes you would have siblings that you were siblings, cousins, friends that are, in
Mm.
schools close by, but you don't get to see them. So it was a fun
Right.
opportunity to see them. And it was a fun opportunity to kind of, that was an opportunity for guys to come and see their girlfriends. If they had girlfriends in my
Right.
school, which is Holy Child, they could come and see them then. So we looked forward to the weekends because that was the opportunity for us to to have the boys come over.